Пошли все-таки за чайником. То так дойду еще через неделю.
Can't catch me.
Ah, children, come, come. You've arrived at just the right moment. I've been looking for you.
Oh, what is it, Granny? Need any help?
Oh, no, no. You've done so much for Liyue Harbor already. I could hardly ask for more. In fact, my old friends and I have been putting our heads together to think of what sort of gift we might give you in return.
Ура, люблю подарки.
A gift? For Paimon?
Сука, я, говорю как Паймон.
Oh, child, you are so very modest. Uncommonly so, even. But you mustn't decline this gift. I simply won't allow it.
Ага, мне Паймон не даст. Тем более, думаю, нам надоело спать под открытым
When
небом.
you traversed my old teapot in search of the cleansing bell, I heard your little friend mention that you often camp out in the wilds.
Ну, на, блин.
That simply won't do. Especially since I imagine you still have a very long journey ahead of you. Fortunately, I have not yet grown so old as to see my subspace. Oh, did my friends never mention that to you? Well then, it is... I will not go into too much detail, but subspace creation is the ability to... The teapot that you entered previously was a little trinket created you...
So, in the eyes of an adeptus, creating a magic teapot world is just child's play, huh?
Oh, indeed, the teapot is nothing to boast of. One such as myself must depart from this realm to create a world of one's own. But that's enough nostalgia for now.
That's right! Finding stuff's what we...
Oh, settle down now, children. There's no need for you to go running hither and thither. What's more, I doubt that you would know how to... Well, for starters, I require some shimmer soil from the banks of Dihua Mar. You would have to dig downward, following the roots of the glazed lilies. And if you're
Да,
lucky
интересные
enough,
ингредиенты.
you just might find a small patch of but almost no one has been able to find shimmer soil in this manner, since even more difficult to find is smaragdus jadeite, which must be chiseled from the rock of the cat. In any case, smaragdus jadeite is an adepti treasure, and the adeptal... goodness knows if that child will succeed in finding these items.
Well, since you're an adeptus, Granny, the person you asked for help, they must be an adeptus too, right?
Yes. I suppose she does count as an adeptus.
She counts? How come there are so many adepti in Liyue Harbor?
Кстати, да.
We seem to bump into them all the time. Feels
У нас
like
повсюду
when you go
адепты.
out to eat, you could be sitting next to an adeptus and never
В
even
горах
know it.
адепты. Сяо, сидящий там, там постоянно... Заговорюсь. Итак, в горах адепты. Сяо, сидящий на постоянном дворе, адепт. В городе у нас вот адепты, та же бабушка. В Цисин секретарем работает адепт. Тут кто не адепт?
Oh, maybe so. Who can say? A fair few of my old friends...
I'm back, Granny.
О, Ян Фэй.
Oh, I don't believe we've met.
Ah, allow me to do the honors. This child here is Yen Fei. She's the one helping run some errands for me. Yen Fei, I believe you've already heard of the traveler and her traveling companion.
Of course, who hasn't? Much has been written about you in the Millilith's records. You became one of Liyue's most wanted after the Millilith marked you as a suspect following the incident at the Rite of Dissension. After which, you fought off the Millilith at Julian Karst and made contact with the Fatui. Before finally defeating an ancient god together with Granny and her associates, and subsequently being cleared of any and all suspicion by the Chiseng. What What a shame.
What a shame! Вот ты, Янфэй.
A shame that we didn't meet sooner. If we had, well, I can't say that I would have been able to clear you of suspicion immediately, but it certainly would have been less, embarrassing for you. Allow me to introduce myself once more. I'm Yenfei, a legal advisor. Got a legal problem? You can come right to me. Oh, yes, here's my business card. You'll find it has my contact details and office address. Keep it handy. If you have an urgent issue, just leave me a note at this address. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, I offer a very generous discount for first-time customers.
All right, Yanfei, all right. Let's get to the business. You'll have to excuse Yanfei. She's always...
Paimon was gonna ask the same question.
An Adeptus? I guess. Kinda. My old man said he was one anyway. He mentioned that he once campaigned with Rex Lapis for a long old time, and then after that was all over, he went back and married my mom. They had me, and once I was all grown up, the two of them upped and left on a journey, leaving me with Granny.
Well, that's a bit casual for an Adeptus. Are you guys supposed to sign solemn contracts?
Well, my dad did say that he'd talked it through with Rex Lapis, and that he was fine with it. Even contributed towards the wedding gift, apparently.
Это мило.
Anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. So, Granny, I've gotten a hold of most of the stuff you asked for, except for Smaragdus Jadeite. I couldn't find any at all. The chasm's been sealed off, and there's just no way in. Couldn't secure any documentation either. Looks like the Ministry of Civil Affairs is serious about keeping it strictly locked down.
Is that so? Yanfei, are you sure you can't find some other...
I know, Granny, you've told me 1,000 times already. Well, the chasm's definitely a no-go, but there's still a chance we can figure out some alternative means of procurement. Hold on a moment. Let me have a look.
Дорогуша, тебя не беспокоит, что у тебя технически сейчас две книги? Одна в руках и одна на поясе? Вот вообще?
Whoa, that's a really thick book. What kind of things do you...
Commercial consultancy. Or Snezhnaya Krosel. A Snezhnayan merchant who he mentioned that he was considering acquiring some Smaragdus Jadeite to make hairpins, and wanted to know if there were any legal ramifications that he should be aware of. Said he was planning to sell, so I guess I'll go look for him. With any luck... Oh, you want to join me? I suppose that's no problem, but it's best if you just stand by and watch. If you try to get involved, you'll only risk placing yourself in legal jeopardy.
Wow, an Adeptus imploring us to avoid incurring legal liability. Well, that's a first for sure.
Да, нетипичненько.
Must we be a little more careful than usual while we're with...
Так, одну секунду. Так, продолжим. Кроссель. В этом диалоге... Ну да. В этом квесте будет очень много диалогов. В этом диалоге будет много квестов. Да. Так. Кроссель.
Hello, Mr. Crossel. How's business been?
Oh, good, very good. All thanks to...
You're too kind. I was simply doing my job. Now, I believe that the last time we met, you mentioned that you were looking to source some Smaragdus Jadeite to make hair...
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, in the end I did acquire a small piece of Smaragdus... Miss Yanfei, might I presume that you have an interest in the hairpins?
Wait, isn't Smaragdus Jadeite really rare? Aren't you worried...
No, I'm not worried in the slightest, because I signed a contract with Miss Juchi. The contract makes it quite clear that if she loses or damages the item in question, in return, I included a clause that guarantees the Smaragdus Jadeite is genuine, with a penalty of...
Guaranteed genuine, with 10 times the value payable if this claim is shown to be false. Yes.
Of course. This way, both the client and I have the...
In that case, might you know where Miss Chow lives? We'd like to pay her a visit and have a look at the hairpins.
Oh, of course. She wrote her address...
Thanks a lot, Mr. Crossel. We'll be off now.
М. А где? А, ну да.
Oh, whatever shall I... Yes, that's me. Is that
How do you do, Monsieur Chow? We understand from Mr. My associates and I are very...
the hairpins? I don't know how it could have happened. I always kept them right by my side. I spent so much money on them. If I have to pay their original value... My family is in the ore business, too. But business has been suffering ever since we now have a backlog of paid-up orders just sitting around. A big banquet is coming up in a few days, and several ore merchants I know of will be there. That's what the hairpins were for, to... But now that I've lost the hairpins...
Why does Paimon have a sudden strong sense?
Would you really? I sent a commission to the adventurers...
Hold on. Don't run off looking for the hairpins just yet. Monsieur Chow, would you let me have a look at the rental contract you sent?
Huh? Well, I mean, sure, I have it right here.
Let me see.
That's right! Yanfei said she's a legal advisor, didn't she? True. Though surely there must be a win-win solution.
Right. I finished reading the contract. The terms are very clear, and they do indeed stipulate that you must pay Mr. Crossell the original value of the hairpins as compensate. Furthermore, the contract also expressly states that the amount of compensation must take current market prices into account. And given the rarity of Smaragdus jadeite, I fear that the final amount of compensation may end up being significantly higher as a result.
Even higher? Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Yuchao looks like she's about to faint.
However, all of this is assuming that it is indeed genuine Smaragdus jadeite that was inlaid into the hairpins.
Какая она хитрая-то.
Did you really have to pause before saying that part? Anyway, the hairpins are lost, so how exactly would we be able to find out if the jadeite is genuine or not? Whichever way you look at it,
Except that if we found the hairpins,
Please. Please, However much it is, I will have to pay it. My family are merchants, after all. Now that it's come to this, I really shouldn't keep
yes, legally speaking, it seems this is the most sensible course of action. So hold on a moment, Monsieur Chow. When you first touched the hairpins, what did you feel?
What did I feel? Well, I remember that the gemstones set into the pins were perfectly smooth to the touch, like the finest quality jade. My family has seen much jade pass through its hands in the past, so I am quite...
Smooth to the touch, finest quality jade. No, it's nothing. I just need to re-examine.
Ah, Miss Yanfei, you've returned. With... You lost them? Are you serious? Do you have any idea how expensive they were?
I'm sorry. Truly I am. I'll pay the compensation.
Mora? Do you have any idea what I had to go through to get my... I just don't... Forget it. Talking won't bring them back.
No problem. But before I can give an official estimate, I'll need to do a little market research. Ah, yes. And if I may just confirm again...
Эй, у тебя немного твой шарик. Смотри, как это правильно назвать-то? В общем, рукав в рукав проваливается. Дорогуша, тебе точно комфортно?
It was in fact genuine Smaragdus jadeite inlaid into the hairpins, correct?
Of course. Genuine article.
All right, understood. I'll conduct some market research, and once I'm back, I'll provide an official...
Thank you very much. How could...
Looks like I'll have to find some way to...
Please wait, Mr. Chow. I have something... It's not convenient to speak here, so let's find somewhere that we can sit and talk in more detail.
Хитрюга. Чё? Ёперный театр! Срочная работа? А, боже, окей. Сейчас надо разобраться с другим квестом. Где там дальше? С ума сойти.
But you didn't let me finish.
Ну, сделали как смогли. Теперь можно? Ура.
Can't catch me.
Miss Yenfei, what is this about?
No. What I wanted to talk about is there is a chance that the Orin laid on those hairpins may not be Smaragdus Jadeite after all.
What do you mean? Are you implying that you already sneaked?
Obviously not. I'm no adventurer, let alone a member of the guild. I don't run thankless, time-consuming errands for a living.
А вот это
Let's just
обидно.
say I made some deductions.
Дорогуша, если ты мне выпадешь, то ты будешь этим заниматься.
I don't know if Granny told you this, but Smaragdus Jadeite is found deep underground and contains very concentrated elemental energy. If mere mortals come into contact with it, well, they'll be sick in the best case. And in the worst case, they could even experience a dramatic change of personality. It most certainly would not be smooth to the touch. Mr. Chow, did you at any time feel unwell while the hairpins were in your possession?
No, not at all. I felt perfectly fine the whole time. Not even the slightest bit unwell. I didn't...
Now that is strange. I noticed earlier that there were elemental traces. If I've deduced correctly, he may still have the...
If that's the case, we should go confront...
Absolutely not. If we were to confront him now, there's no way he would admit to it.
Нам нужны доказательства.
And then he'd throw the Smaragdus. After that, he would simply insist that Mr. Chap. Meanwhile, we would have to look under every stone in Liyue, hoping and praying that...
So vivid that Paimon thinks it might be experience talking.
Oh, it certainly is. I've seen my fair share of situations like this, and brute force methods are certainly one way of resolving them. Fortunately, I have far more elegant solutions at my disposal. I'll share them with you in due course.
Well then, since you're so experienced...
Oh, that won't be a problem. But first, Mr. Chow, can I ask you to please sign this contract?
О,
Does there have to be a contract for everything? It feels like Yanfei is even more concerned with them than a certain someone else we know.
тут все придают значение контрактам. Это, блин, гавань контрактов.
These are my formal terms of engagement. Everything prior to now has just been pro bono advice. But any work commissioned but not bound by a contract cannot be relied upon.
I understand. Then,
No problem. Just sign here, and I'll sign too. Okay. Now write your address here, and then sign on this page as well.
Знаете, каждый раз, когда дело касается бумаг, у меня лицо такое же, как у Пайман сейчас.
And I'll also need your signatures on pages 5, 7, and on the very last page. Finally, if you could just use this ink pad to make a handprint over here.
Да, именно такое.
This contract has so many pages.
All right, that should do it. My fees are the same as always, and they're written in...
I've had a read through.
Well then, here's your copy of the contract. I will retain the other copy. Not for now, no. Despite how intractable, I don't believe you have been part of an investigation like this before. In which case, hopefully this should be quite the experience.
Miss Yunfei, I have to ask, why...
Because, as it happens, I'm currently trying to acquire some Whether he actually made it into an item of jewelry or not is a separate matter. Also, the idea of someone abusing the law to their advantage, I won't stand for
Да,
it.
только ты можешь манипулировать законом в свою пользу.
But again, let's not dwell on this. I've got it. Let's pay a visit to Chateau, the boss of the Jade Mystery. If Mr. Crossell had his ore worked on at all, should...
Да, блин.
Why, hello there, honored customers. Welcome to... Oh, it's you, Miss Yenfei. Is something the matter? Surely not more spurious claims that...
No, nothing of the sort. Has a Snezhnyan merchant named Crossell enlisted your ore prep...
A Snezhnyan merchant named Crossell. I do remember that. He brought me a piece of ore. That was the first time I'd ever encountered it, so I had no way of telling if it was really Smaragdus jade. He was quite generous with his money, too. So...
Do you...
Why, yes. It was my first time encountering this ore.
Thank you, sir. We'll take a look at...
If my eyes don't deceive me, the cross-sections and patterning suggest that these are Smaragdus nephrite shavings. Yes, it's not particularly rare, nor is it especially valuable. I've heard it said that Smaragdus nephrite is in fact the outer layer of Smaragdus jadeite, though...
A thin layer of separation.
If you must see for yourself, try examining these shavings for...
Is that so? So, did you find anything? So they really are different.
There's nothing special to it. It just so happens that I've come across... These two stones actually look very similar. There may be only a subtle difference for the casual viewer, and, I'm sure, a significant...
All right, let's focus up. We're going off...
But, never mind, Shirto.
Unusual actions have unusual reasons behind them.
Miss Yenfei? Might I be so bold as to inquire,
If you could just confirm for me once more, sir. Mr. Crossell did indeed...
yes, that's right. I still have a record of the job with me.
Then I have no further questions. But could I borrow the processing record?
Of course. But might I ask why you need them?
Oh, I have my reasons. Yes. Please sign here on this affidavit. This document shall serve as signed proof that these stone shavings originated from the...
Yes, I see. Forgive me for asking again, Miss Yenfei, but might I know the nature of the incident on this occasion?
Господи, у него такой заискивающий голос, это просто... Я тащусь от этого тона просто.
I wouldn't say there's been an incident, just a minor issue. Thank you, sir. I'll take these with me.
With this hard evidence to back us up?
On the contrary, this is far from... If you want to make jewelry, you need a professional jewelsmith. Let me think.
Дорогуша, у тебя все еще больше книг, чем надо.
Jewelry. Nope. Aha! Got it! Singsi. She often helps people to find a jewelsmith.
Well, that was quick. How come you know?
Because lots of people come to me for legal advice. As you know, Liyue Harbor is the city of... But the amendments made by the Tianquan to our laws are unnecessarily complicated. As such, legal advisors like myself provide quite the popular service indeed.
So you help them make sense of the law.
Yes, well, that's no obstacle, because I've memorized all the legal codices.
Или это типа все-таки разные, просто... Блин, надо будет сравнить поближе, потому что мне казалось, они очень похожи между собой.
You sound surprised. Knowing the law... Oh, this has nothing to do with being an adeptus.
Again with that casual tone.
С другой стороны, тогда откуда она берет вторую книгу? Но с третьей стороны, она адепт. Ладно.
Well, that's that then.
Я надеюсь, хоть она на месте. А, ну да, она же этот местный торговец.
Oh, Miss Yenfei, it's you. Has something happened?
Have no further trouble from then on? Yeah, has a merchant by the name of Crossel asked you to put him in contact with the jewelsmith
Crossel. Yes, I remember him. The design of the hairpins that he gave me was quite intricate, so this order was on hold for a very long time.
Doesn't seem like there's any evidence to be found.
Miss Inksy, I'd like for you to confirm for me once more. When Mr. Crossel commissioned you to...
Yes, I'm sure of it. The hairpins were made using many expensive materials. Mr. Crossel wasn't very familiar with the necessary... I also kept a copy for my own records. See for yourself. The item is called Smaragdus Jadeite Twin Phoenix Pins. The inlaid gemstone is recorded as Smaragdus Jadeite.
Thank you, Sinksy.
Sure, it isn't serving much purpose here anyway. I take it then that there's been some more trouble?
Nothing you need to worry about. Just a minor issue. I'll return your document as...
Why is everyone's first reaction always to assume some...
I believe we have almost all the evidence we need. We just need to make one last trip. Let's go to Boo Boo Pharmacy to speak with Dr. Baiju.
The weirdo with the snake around his neck?
Because only he can provide an authoritative statement confirming that Smaragdus Jadeite is harmful to the human body. Once we have this final piece of evidence...
Короче, нам нужно это медицинское свидетельство, свидетельствование, справка. Короче, бегом к доктору. Байджу. Я так мечтаю о том, что ты будешь играбельным персонажем. Какой же он охрененный. Дизайн, хвостик, змея. А как он говорит? Ох.
My, to what do I owe the pleasure? Though I'm afraid that if you're looking for our little Chi-Chi, she's out gathering herbs. And if it isn't Miss Yenfei as well, now that's an even rarer honor. What business brings you here, might I inquire? Some charlatans peddling...
Господи, представьте, как он будет говорить нам, типа, «Привет, я доктор Байджу». О, боже. Мечты, мечты.
No. I'm here this time to ask if you're familiar with Smaragdus Jadeite.
Smaragdus Jadeite? Why, yes, there is some information about it included in the 6th commentary on the 7 Mountain Treatises. The 7 Mountain Treatises states that this substance springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains, and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. It is abundant in elemental energy, so if someone without a vision is in contact with it for a prolonged period, best case scenario, they fall ill. Worst case scenario, they'll suffer great changes in personality, and their illness will only ever get worse. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't come all this way just to chit-chat. Knowing you, Yenfei, and given the specific nature of your question, I suppose that you're about to ask me to write an official affidavit attesting to the pharmaceutical peculiarities of Smaragdus Jadeite?
That is indeed the case. If you would be so kind, Dr. Baiju.
No trouble at all. It's just a single document. Won't take me a moment. I would mention, though, that you are not the only one who's developed a curiosity for Smaragdus. But after I gave him my reply, his expression shifted to one of remarkable disappointment. I wonder, Miss Yenfei, if your pressing business might be related to the Snezhnayan merchant?
Ah, you needn't concern yourself about that, Dr. Baiju. Thank you for penning us that document. I'll make sure to compensate you in due course.
You're too kind. Take care now.
That Baiju guy is as weird as ever. Is it just Paimon, or does it feel like he was fishing for something back there?
Dr. Baiju's always been like that. Well, we have the evidence we need. Let's go find Mr. Crossel.
Не понимаю, чем Паймон не нравится Байджу? Он потрясающий.
Miss Yanfei, have you finished your investigation?
Yes, my investigation is indeed concluded.
Wonderful. Well then, please.
Of course. According to the stipulations of the contract, Mr. Crossel, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original transaction price in Mora.
Sure. Wait, what? Me pay her? Surely there's been some kind of mistake, Miss Yanfei.
Not at all. According to my investigations and the material evidence that we've gathered, the substance claimed to be Smaragdus Jadeite that was inlaid within the Smaragdus Jadeite twin phoenix pins that you rented out to Mr. Chow was, in fact, Smaragdus Nephrite. Now, the contract states very clearly that 10 times the price shall be paid should the article not be genuine. Accordingly, you are liable for this sum, which is payable to Mr. Chow in Mora.
Material evidence? What material evidence? Why, Miss Yanfei, you cannot frame me like this. I spent a huge sum to obtain that Smaragdus Jadeite, and yet you claim that the ore inlaid—
Indeed. Only a testimony from an expert witness involved in the processing of the ore can serve as an authoritative assessment of whether it is genuine. Traveler, please produce the evidence in question. This is a processing record from the Jade Mystery, along with stone samples.
Seriously? Even the boss there couldn't differentiate between Smaragdus Jadeite and Smaragdus. In any case, Smaragdus Nephrite is the outer layer of Smaragdus Jadeite. So I had him cut away the nephrite, he returned the valuable jadeite core to me, and some nephrite samples remain in the store.
That's an unsubstantiated...
Well, your claim that my ore is fake is just as unsubstantiated.
Looks like our first piece of evidence didn't
Hard evidence, something legally binding. We have...
This document proves that my hairpins are the real deal, doesn't it? This is...
Our second piece of evidence didn't work out.
You know, you could be right.
Of course I'm right. All the evidence shows.
Well, hang on a moment now, because I do recall one final piece of evidence that we
Хитрюга.
haven't revealed yet. Traveler, would you do the honors?
What's this?
Smaragdus Jadeite springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. Sustained contact with Smaragdus Jadeite over a prolonged period will, in less serious cases, Mr. Crossel, were you aware of these peculiar properties of Smaragdus?
I had no idea.
No idea, you say? I'd guessed as much. But for you to have rented out such a dangerous item, I'm afraid that this falls outside the scope of my work, but within that of the Ministry of Civil Affairs. However, I'm sure that the Ministry will be relatively lenient, considering that, don't worry, Mr. Crossel, I will make sure that all the evidence presented... I trust that you'll give them your full cooperation in their investigations.
What? Wait! I knew.
Oh, so you knew? Oh, dear Mr. Crossel. But if you knew of Smaragdus Jadeite's dangerous properties beforehand, why would you...
Huh? No, The hairpins aren't actually
inlaid with genuine Smaragdus Jadeite? Is that what you were about to say? You do understand, Mr. Crossel, that this means that you will have to pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original price in Mora? Mr. Crossel, your answer, please. My client and I are waiting.
Господи, как это давит.
He's seriously intimidating right now. It's like she's a different person.
I admit it. I confess. The ore I had inlaid on those hairpins was... But I'm a victim in all of this, too. I invested a great deal of time and money into acquiring that small amount of Smaragdus Jadeite, in the hopes of turning it into a piece of... But after receiving it and carrying it around for a few days, I started to feel extreme discomfort. I went to Boo Boo Pharmacy to get myself checked out, only to discover that that's why I had another pair of hairpins made from Smaragdus. I kept the real Smaragdus jadeite, and especially I was worried that someone would see through it, which is why I only dared to rent them out, not sell them. And then
Exactly! If they weren't the real...
I didn't want to either, but when I purchased that Smaragdus jadeite, some of my business partners... If word got out that I sold a pair of fake...
All right, let's cut the appeals phase right there. I failed to see what bearing any of...
10 times.
Господи, он на колени встал.
Like he could faint any second.
А, присел.
As for me, according to my contract with Mr. Chow, 20% of that sum will go to me.
20%? That's as much as I spent on that Smaragdus jadeite.
There's no need. It's fine. You don't have to pay me that much, Mora.
Ух ты ж.
Even if the Smaragdus jadeite on those hairpins was fake, I still bear responsibility for losing them. Legally or not, I think I owe some compensation for that.
Кстати, мне нравится то, что здесь так вот просто по-человечески я должна заплатить. А там она такое ощущение, что законно или нет, но по совести я должна, как там было, что вот легально или нет, но да, я бы должна была заплатить ему.
Mr. Chow, you...
Очень совестливый человек.
However, Mr. Crossell, since you have no use for that chunk of Smaragdus jadeite, why don't you give it to me instead?
What? But all right then. This cursed rock's brought me enough grief as it is.
Miss Yunfei, I'll turn the Smaragdus jadeite over to you. I trust that it will suffice as remuneration?
Well, that's not quite how the rules say this should go. But whatever, it'll do.
Оу. Ну, блин, я же сама писала правила, договор, законы, но, блин, мне нужен этот камень для бабушки, так что давайте сюда.
Thanks so much for your help this time, Miss Yunfei. When you have the time, I'll be sure to visit...
Oh, come on. No need to stand on ceremony. Now, if I may confirm this again, Mr. Chow, have you and Mr. Crossell come to an understanding?
Well, yes, I believe we have.
Well then, that's good. Mr. Crossell, it seems that my client has no further claims against you.
Is that so? That's good. That's good.
Actually, Mr. Crossell, I'd like to talk business for a second, if I may. I could see from the hairpins you produce that you're very skilled in jewelry design. My family, on the other hand, if we could join forces, your jewelry designs and our choice...
Let me think for a moment.
И сразу договор заключили какой-то, по сути, на месте. Круто. Я, кстати, начинаю мысленных шиперить уже.
All's well that ends well, eh?
Exactly. Usually when someone tells us they've lost something, even...
The right solution depends on your perspective on the objective of my client, Mr. Chow, was to reduce her liability to pay compensation. So, an Adeptus. Speaking of, you took Liyue Harbor is now a city ruled by humans. The title of Adeptus means precious little to me compared to my job as a legal advisor. In any case, don't you think that the Liyue Harbor of today needs legal consultancy far more than it needs adeptal powers?
Paimon can think of someone who would definitely disagree with your reasoning.
Well, since we got what we came for, it's...
И она, вот она.
Ah, you've returned. How did it go? Were you able to... Good.
Well, if we're all set, Granny, I'll get going now. Got a ton of clients waiting for me back at the...
Oh, you. All right, then. Go see to your business. Granny should be able to handle the rest.
I'm off then. Bye! Oh, yes, Traveler. Make sure you don't lose the business card I gave you. I've been looking into the laws of other nations as well. If you should ever bump into any trouble with the law, come find me directly. Regulars get discounts, too.
И в первый, и в последующий. Прям всегда есть скидки. Какая прелесть. Хорошо, что у нас нет такой скидки от бюро Ваньшень. Хотя, учитывая, как дохнут персонажи, она нам тоже бы пригодилась.
Come now, child. Are you leaving or are you not? If you have no wish to leave, perhaps you'd like to help me clean my teapot.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
Все внуки одинаковые.
That child. Goodness knows where she learned to be so rambunctious. Her father was hardly so riotous or fond of talking nonsense back in the day when he stood beside Rex Lapis.
Но справедливости ради, внучка с Геархом там не тусуется. Хотя, кто знает, может и с Джуном пересекается.
Indeed she is. Liyue has changed, and the adept Yanfei might be overly garrulous. Liyue is not the same place I once knew. All right, then. Let us speak of this no more.
Oh, Paimon's so excited!
It is but a single... There, hold it firmly. If you were to drop, take these blueprints with you as well. You'll need...
Wait a minute, Granny!
Oh, you needn't worry about that.
Евги, пора. Давайте сразу зайдем в чайник, второй этап, там разместимся чуть-чуть. Единственное, да, мне придется взять небольшую вольность и выбрать обитель. У нас есть летающие острова, горные вершины и архипелаг. Есть еще шелковый павильон, но тут нужно 40-е благословение Сакуры. В принципе, открыть можно будет однажды все формы. Я надеюсь, ты не обидишься, что я выберу летающие острова. Там довольно красиво. И мы обязательно разблокируем те другие формы.
This teapot seems even bigger inside than Madame Ping's. There's even a great big house in the middle, too. Huh. But there's just a whole load of nothing around it. Paimon can't do that. Well, you're the one with the sword anyway. You do it. Still, why is it so empty here apart from that house? Oh, wait a second.
Can't catch me.
Красота.
Well, it seems that we have a visitor.
It's a huge finch!
Excuse me, I am not a finch. I am a teapot spirit, and you may call me... hang on a moment. What am I supposed to be called again?
Как можно забыть свое имя?
Call me... I suppose you may call me... Tubby.
Таб.
So you're the little helper, Madame Ping.
Madam Ping? Oh, you may leave all matters regarding the up... Your journey may be far from over. But though it is the Adepti who create realms such as this, thus, we teapot spirit, you may consider me a butler, if you will. Now, allow me to explain this realm to you. Have you any blueprints on you? Specifically, blueprint, as long as you have a blueprint, you...
Blueprints? Oh, that's...
Yes, these are the blueprints. Just commit the image of the objects to memory, then simply release the thought from your mind and the...
Wow! Is that all it takes? Then we could build a whole city inside, couldn't
I doubt it. A golden-eyed adeptus explained this to me at some point in the past. He said that even though subspace creation is a product of it, this world is not a true one after all. It provides
a golden-eyed adeptus?
Может, сам Джун.
I hardly remember myself. Well, let's not dwell on that. If there's anything you would...
Меня, кстати, забавляет, что мы отдельно принимаем это. Ну да ладно. Откуда у нас не перед... Хотя я, наверное, нашла где-нибудь. Так, а где мы? Ага, все вижу. Кузница, это важно. Больше вроде ничего. А, ну и Паймон. Лучший компаньон? Оу. Ура! Так, ну-ка. Так я же уже прочитала обучалку. Имейте совесть. Так, так, так. Вот наши первые награды. Краска, ткань, чертежи. Сокровища. Давайте зайдем. И расставим тут наших друзей. Компаньоны, компаньоны. Так, нам нужно поднимать репутацию с нашими, так сказать, основными. Сейчас у нас один компаньон. И да, постой тут пока. Хлеб, соль да чайник. Краска, ткань, 3 предмета декора. Ну, пошли изготавливать.
Maybe you're not used to the place at the moment, but once you've materialized...
Уровень доверия. О, наград, первый уровень. О, гемы. Да, немножечко затратно, но лучше это сделать сразу. Так, изготавливаем декор. Это изучить. Ой, вообще я это случайно. Ну, пусть готовится. Пригодится. А нам нужны всякие ткани. Ах, краски всегда не напасешься.
If you ever had...
Готовить 3 предмета благодаря... А у меня есть идейка.
Maybe you're...
Да, сразу получим. Так, сейчас проверим
If you
кое-что.
ever had...
А. Так, дорогая, я пока раскидаю их чисто для того, чтобы очков было больше. Когда ты придешь сама, сможешь зачистить зону, собрав все предметы, и расставить на свой вкус.
Maybe you're... If you ever had...
Так, смотрим. Теперь зайдем. Да что еще? Простите. Ну-ка.
Maybe you're...
Ну, до 2-го уровня потом, видимо, повысим.
If you ever had...
Но я уже чуть-чуть это ускорила. Так, все.